I want to prove to myself that I can do this. And I want to show that if you do the work and you get the right information and you get the right tools and you allow the body what it was designed to do and let it do that with some nurturing, that it can heal itself.
Good morning and welcome to the Fusionary Health podcast. I'm Dr. Shivani Gupta, and this is the podcast dedicating to recalibrating your health every day. My goal is to help you wake up each day energized by addressing root causes and giving you new approaches to preventive health. The more we know about integrative health, the more empowered we are in building the vibrant health we want. Welcome to the Fusionary Health podcast. You are having the most incredible guest in store for you. Her name is Barb Moylan, and she's a 52-year-old fitness industry veteran with over 34 years of experience helping others transform their health. She is a health coach. She's a fitness instructor, but she's also so much more. She's going to share with us about how she went on her own cancer journey. She was diagnosed with an aggressive, spreadable form of cancer, and she took the bull by the horns and really chose to take a different approach, fusing Western and Eastern, which is what this podcast is all about, fusing the Western solutions with the integrative, holistic, functional medicine, biohacking tools available to really fight what was ahead of her, put herself on a 2-year journey to total body healing to win at her health and really create even better longevity. I'm so excited for you guys to join me for the podcast today. Enjoy. Welcome, everyone, to the Fusionary Health Podcast. It's your host, Dr. Shivani Gupta, and I have a special guest in store for you today. Barb Moylan is a coach and health coach who I've known for over a year now. We have been working together. She coaches at the gym that I work out at, and she's an incredible, energetic woman who I love hanging out with. And then in the last year, we worked a little together because she's a wonderful health coach. She's very aligned on the exact same topics that I'm into, which is let's reduce the crap out of our diet, cut the sugar and the toxic stuff. Let's build gut health. Diet is not about cutting everything out of your life. It's actually about adding things in. And so we're very much on the same wavelength. And I've taught workshops with her and taught online with her. So welcome to the podcast, Barb.
Thank you. I know we've been trying to do this for some time, so I'm very happy we made it happen.
For sure. So will you kick us off with your story, your background on what got you into health and fitness training and coaching in the first place? And then we'll get into the really big news you got this last year that changed your whole trajectory of what you do.
Okay. So I've been in the fitness industry since I was 18 and I'm 52, so 34 years. I have been a coach. I've worked for big brands. I've owned my own gym, and I've just had such a passion for movement. And I got my degree in exercise sports science. I've basically taught every class under the sun since the 1980s. And I just love motivating and inspiring and moving people. And so taking that course of a professional career just made sense to me because it is what I'm passionate about. And just in the last 5 years, I really dug in deeper on the nutrition side. I've always been a very healthy eater, and my mom was a raw foodist. And so, eating healthy was always part of my life. But I decided to add more education. I wanted to bring that piece to my business and to the people around me. So I got my nutrition coaching, multiple certifications, and then I became a gut health specialist through the Integrative Institute of Nutrition. And right now I'm doing their hormone health as well. So I love the whole arena of health and wellness and fitness and food and healing from within, and really taking your body and mind also to the next level. And yeah, so that's been my career up until this point. So I
Yeah.
do coach at Just Lift Studios in Boca, and I also have my nutrition and gut health, and now cancer coaching business with BAM Fit for Life.
Nice. So, I mean, when I met you, I thought, gosh, this woman has a lot of energy. I love how obsessed she is with form. So, like, you'd come around all the time and be like, lower, no, this leg, this arm. And I was always like, yes, thank you. I need that. And also, you have such an energy to you. So, it's always nice when you walk into class, you're like, ah, I'm here, tired, but okay. And you see you and you're like, come, give me a hug. Let's go. And it raises everything up. And then when I got to teach in one of your workshops, I was sitting there on a Saturday morning. You do these 2-hour block workshops, and you just pulled up slide after slide. And we're like, these are the chemicals in this. This is an alternative. This is what's in your cottage cheese. You could be eating this brand. And I thought, thank you. I'm obsessed with food and health. And even I don't have time, because sometimes when I walk into a Sprouts, I'm like, okay, I'm just here to buy pasta sauce. Oh, no. Oh my God, no, that's bad. Oh, that's bad. What? Everything, even in the health food stores, can have chemicals in it that you don't agree with, or seed oils, which
Yeah,
seems to still be in everything. I mean, what the heck?
I know.
Why is the food industry not getting it? That we know, and they're dumb, and they should change things. So when I met you and I saw you do that, I thought, okay, this woman is obsessed with ingredients and labels, but she's actually willing to sit there and do the work for us and give us the answers, which I loved personally. So, when you were on this health journey, just in the last few years teaching about food, nutrition, and all that, I know you got this news around your health. And will you share what happened? And then will you share what that meant to you and what's been happening ever since?
Yeah. So last May 2024, I was diagnosed with a very aggressive and spreadable form of breast cancer. And it was a shock, to be honest with you, with the level of health that I have, you know, dedicated myself to. It felt like such a betrayal. Um, I was devastated. I was very upset, and I went into this hole for about 5 days, and then I looked at myself in the mirror, and I said, I didn't even recognize myself. I felt broken. I felt defeated, and I just I was I was devastated. I mean, that's the best word I can use. And I said to myself, okay, well, that's not who I am. I am not broken. I am not beat down. So I shifted my mindset and said, all right, I got a battle ahead of me. And I'm a fighter, man. I'm a tough chick. So yeah, I put the gloves on and I was like, all right, let's go. Let's do this. And so I was thrown into the medical system, which I have been able to avoid most of my life. I mean, I've besides a knee surgery, I don't take Tylenol. I don't go to the doctor. I don't need to go to the doctor because I am so health conscious. So getting thrown into biopsies and mammogram biopsies and PET scans and like all the things that come along, and you're put on this conveyor belt of like, you got to do this and you got to do that. And it's overwhelming. It
I'm
is
sure.
truly terrifying. And so, I just embraced uh the process. And I because it was stage 1, triple positive, HER2 positive. So that is considered an aggressive spreadable form of breast cancer. And I immediately went into research mode. I went into education mode, and I got any book that I could read. I I not Google searched. I don't Google search because that's a rabbit hole in itself. But
Mhm.
any PubMed article, anything I could get my hands on from a good source of information.
Mm.
And, um, my intuition, my gut, who I am is holistic. It is alternative. It is natural. And I couldn't deny that. I could not deny who I am. And being told that you need to do chemotherapy immediately. And I'm like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. Like, pump the brakes. And then, I was able to bypass that and say, no, I'm not going to do that. I did want surgery. I
Mm.
had 3 tumors. They scaled when they measured it 5 centimeters from one to the two furthest points. So I wanted the surgery to get it
Sure.
out of me. And so I did a double mastectomy and a reconstruction. Um, as soon as I found out that I was diagnosed, I went into the alternative path. And I fasted. I did an
Mm.
extended fast. I'm already a nutrition and gut health coach. So I really dove into food
Yeah.
even deeper than I already had. And what foods kill cancer cells, what foods inhibit cancer from growing.
Yeah.
I wanted to contain it. I wanted to stop the growth. And so everything that I was putting in my body or taking away from my body was to contain the growth. So, yeah, and I was very successful.
Yeah, which is amazing. I remember when you first heard the news and you texted me and I said,
I did.
"Whoa." And it for me when it's someone close to me, it drives me nuts because I don't always know the answers and I want to solve it and I want to know that I was part of solving it. Like, let's just contain it. I have good resources. I know so many doctors.
I did come straight to you.
But when it's really serious, you're talking about catastrophic, all of a sudden I'm like, well, this person is sovereign in their decisions. So you actually, in integrity, should present all options. So I was like, well, I know where my brain would go. My brain would go to Hippocrates Health Institute, Ayurvedic detoxing, like, let's put the body into the strongest healing state and win.
Yes.
But I am also married into a really big Western medical family. So I was like, just so you know, we're best friends with all these cancer doctors who I see on any given weekend hanging out. And they're very kind, heart centric doctors who do good. So if you want hemonc or you want the one, I think he does radiation, or I know a breast health doctor down in Miami who recommends turmeric to her patients. And I love that woman too. I've got that book of business too if you want to go that way to those practitioners. But it was hard because from what I was hearing from you, it was really complex. But you have to get this test, but it takes a month. But you can't do the next step till you do that test. And so you were just on this, like you said, conveyor belt trying to figure it out. And it was to me, it felt like such a slap in the face that someone I know who's as obsessed with health, food, and exercise as I am, maybe you are more so, then how could you get that answer? It was just like
Yeah.
it was so traumatizing. I was like, what the absolute F? And what is she gonna do and how is she gonna navigate it? And how do we know she's gonna put it into remission and win? And then I was like, well, it's Barb. You will.
You.
She will. She's going to figure this out and she's going to win. So when I told you about Hippocrates was a place I had lived at with my mom and sister. And
Yeah.
I knew based on the clientele there that their plan is very good when it comes to these big chronic metabolic diseases. And I know you went there for a day. So will you share with us kind of what were some of those key things that you discovered on your own research journey when you were here in South Florida, which we have a lot of great resources
We
around wellness and health and prevention? And then I think you took a few key tidbits from there as well.
Oh, yes. So I was very curious about Hippocrates because I had known of them for years. I'd never been there,
Sure.
but between May and my surgery was July 31st. So I was in deep research mode. And I knew that I didn't want to do chemo. It just did not resonate with me. I had horrific nightmares about it. And look, everybody's choice is their choice, and I do not shame, or I would never tell anybody what choice they need to make, because we
Yeah.
are all different. We are bio individual. We all come from different backgrounds and different belief systems. And so, my choice is my choice, and I respect anyone else's choice. But for me, it was not the choice for me. And it was being presented to me as my only option. And I'm like, this cannot be my only option. But then you're faced with the doctor, and it's like, well, they're the doctor and you're not. You didn't go to medical school. And I'm like, but I know my body, and I know the human body. And I'm not a medical doctor, but I understand how the human body works. And so I put my trust and followed my inner guide of, okay, I'm going to do the research. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to find out what is wrong. Like, what got me here? Finding the root cause of how in the hell did I get here in the first place? That is my mission. That has been my mission since day one.
Yeah.
And I can now say, and I'm not done yet, but with confidence, I know why I got diagnosed. In the beginning, I didn't, and I was pissed, and I wanted to know why.
Yeah.
And so I, the research, and then I wanted to learn more about what they did at Hippocrates, about, plant-based, about raw food. I already knew a lot about raw food because of my mother. Um, Red light, hyperbaric, high dose vitamin C, alternative repurposed drugs. Thank goodness for, my friend and compound pharmacist, Brooke. She said, look, I know how you are. I know what you're faced with. I have information. I'm going to give it to you. You can do whatever you want with it,
Yeah.
but it's information. And it was about high dose vitamin C. It was about fenbendazole
Mm.
and ivermectin, which are repurposed drugs that are curing cancer, are handling cancer. They're It's working.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much science out there that's moving at a really fast rate. Some of it we just don't hear about it in the mainstream media, and it's individuals, it's practitioners. I know so many chiropractors who seek out this knowledge and are kind of like the rebels or the disruptors who are out there figuring this out and then bringing those tools and those technologies and those combinations of herbs and plants and medications to the forefront for helping people heal from some of the most complex and serious issues. And so I think that's so cool that you went on a full-on journey, but also one thing I heard you say was, let me say that again. I think it's so cool that you dove deep into your own research to get so educated because you knew that it was your inner guide who was going to help make your decision, not outside forces. And one thing you said in there was, I know that this was a medical doctor I was sitting across from, but I am my own body's doctor. That's what I heard. And I was like, yeah, I'm 100% a believer in I am sovereign. I am all knowing when it comes to this body. Do
Yes.
I consult many independent contractors
Yes.
and team members to consult? Yes. I love testing and all those things. It doesn't matter what doctor I hire. I usually want a couple of opinions because my body's really important and it drives my doctors nuts because a lot of times I've known them and worked with them for decades and they're like, you went and got a second opinion and got operated on in Miami in a totally different, what? Why'd you do that? I'm like, well, my body said, my intuition said, my guide said, that's the road. And so I think it's so important that we always remember that we have that guide to lean on and to hone and really train that intuition to give us the guidance that you got.
and you have the power. Like, the one thing I noticed is being in the system is immediately it was so fear-based. Like, I say they, but they scared the living hell out of me. And I was told 4 different times that if I don't do what they recommend, I'm gonna die. Like, in 4 different ways, I was told that. And I just looked at him and I'm like, no, no, I'm not. And just because I'm not following the way, the way it's been for 50 years, and look, I dove into that research.
Yeah.
And when I read the side effects, the short term, the long-term side effects of chemotherapy, I'm sorry, I'm not signing up for that right now. Like, I'm not saying I will never do chemo. I'm not saying that.
Sure.
But I want to give my body the tools and find out what is broken and do the work to fix it and give it the tools it needs, because it got here somehow.
Right.
If it got here somehow, I believe I have the power to get it fixed and get it back to a better place. And chemo just didn't make sense because for me, it was like envisioning it was like a tornado was just gonna go running through my body and destruction.
Right.
That's how I see it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to destroy all the good stuff. I just need to pinpoint the bad, get the tools, and fix it. And that's where, and I told you when we were talking before this, I just came from treatment. I still have lines on my face from oxygen training. So 5, 6 days a week, I do the superhuman protocol, which is another great, great resource that we have here in South Florida at Physical Evidence in Boca. And it's the PEMF mat, the grounding. And we've talked about this in my prevention workshop with Dr. David Littman.
Mm-hmm.
And then the exercise with oxygen training, and then red light. And what's really interesting, and I haven't even had an opportunity to share this with you. I am doing so much testing. I, hormone testing, DNA testing. I've had methylation detox testing done. I just had a comprehensive DNA test done. And the discovery, what I am finding is absolutely amazing. It's crystal clear to me now why I got diagnosed. And
Really?
oh, yeah, crystal clear. I have a very specific estrogen that is off, and that particular estrogen causes DNA damage wherever it
Wow.
goes. And here's my thing is, it doesn't matter what treatment you put, whether it's chemo or a pill or whatever it is. If we do not get to the root cause and investigate and find out what that, and then fix it. So
Correct.
that estrogen is off. Doesn't matter. Like, I have no more breast tissue, right? But I still got that estrogen floating around in my body. So I got to fix that estrogen because it's going to go somewhere and create DNA damage somewhere else. So now I'm working with a doctor and supplementing with a nutraceutical to
Okay.
up regulate that estrogen.
Sure.
The other, and right up your alley,
Yeah.
my inflammatory response per my genetic expression is poor. It's
Hmm.
So I do not process toxins at a high level. It's suboptimal. And so especially I found out, especially environmental toxins. So I have a very high inflammatory response, and and I
Yep.
know that causes damage to the cells.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So knowing that, I'm like, okay, I know what I got to do. Reduce inflammation, fix myself on a cellular metabolic level.
Right. And address those environmental toxins that your body is suboptimal at detoxing at, or they will constantly and forever inflame you anyways and cause trouble. This is where I don't understand why, as a society, we don't all get DNA tests done on ourselves in our teens. You could do
Yes.
it at birth, technically. It's not like your blood changes. But I'm looking at my two teens that I have now, and I'm like, you guys need stool tests. I need a hormone panel on you. And I certainly need a one-time DNA test because I learned so much from my own DNA test. My DNA test was clear. I'm a bad detoxer, is what it said to me. And I thought, oh shit, that's a big deal. That makes sense actually for the body that I have and why I have to do all the work I do for gut health and immune system. But it made me buy an infrared sauna because I realized,
Yeah.
dude, you need the tool more than anybody. Just buy the one thing that makes the biggest difference based on the knowledge you have of your own body. More
Yes.
important than a lot of the other things that I was focusing on. And so knowing that, it sounds like you went after cellular health and fixing it, and then also environmental toxins. So will you share how you did that? And then also, are there any other key things that you focused on?
So right now, this is a 2-year process. Let me start with that. Is that I am not the first person to, go after cancer alternatively, obviously, right? There's been a lot of success with doing that. And I've learned from those people and their experience and the information they have shared. And even the Gerson therapy it's a 2-year process. So I already committed 2 years that I am going to every day dig in and do what I've got to do with my food, with my supplementation, with my treatment specific to me because of my issues with detoxing. Now, what I'm doing might not fit someone else because we're different, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I've committed to that time frame because I didn't get here overnight. I'm not going to fix it overnight.
It's not a 3-month boot camp and win.
No, no. And I wasn't, I came out of surgery, waited the month. I was able to shrink the tumors, the size. I was able to keep it from spreading, going into the lymph, and they still wanted me to do 12 rounds of chemo. And I was like, "No way. We're not doing that." 3 months it would have taken to do that. And then for me, it was like I was going to open Pandora's box. Lord knows what was going to happen after that.
Yeah.
And now knowing that I do not regulate metabolized toxins, the chemo would have devastated my body,
Yeah.
like really would have tore it up.
Wow.
And I don't know how I would have come back from that. So thank you, Inner Guide. For now, I feel like I am on the right path and I am following the testing. So I have a list. There's 10 different areas of testing that I'm doing. And, a panel, GI mapping, that's next.
Yeah.
I've done the genetic testing. I have done the hormone testing, a lot of stuff, cardiovascular testing. And I found out through my DNA test as well that, I've got some arterial issues that need support as well, that I've got some inflammatory response and could lead to cardiovascular disease. So I'm like, okay, we're going to go after that too.
Yeah.
So taking the information and, I just had blood work done yesterday and I see Dr. Tenoy in Fort Lauderdale next week. And every month we meet and we look at my blood work and we
Mm.
adjust.
Nice.
We're adjusting my supplements. We're adjusting based off my blood work, based off of my now genetic testing.
Yeah.
We are moving things around and tailoring what I need to heal.
Wow.
And, the red light and the high dose vitamin C and the hyperbaric and the superhuman. I found out as well, my mitochondria.
Mm.
I've got some issues on the mitochondria level. So, which was really good to find out because
Sure.
that's what I've been going after this whole time.
Right.
And I just found that out this weekend and I'm like, well, thank goodness I'm doing methylene blue,
Good.
doing oxygen training and red light, because those three things rebuild and replenish the mitochondria,
Right.
repair
Yeah.
mitochondria.
And repairing our mitochondria is key as we age. But a lot of times we're like, oh, I'm just aging. It's fine. No, we're not just aging. You're damaging your body just by existing on planet Earth in this moment. And you have to actively take a role towards your health. My family gets so sick of me talking to them about health ever because they're like, what is your problem? And I'm like, don't you understand the planet you're living on and the moment you're living on? Your air, your water, how you're storing your food. Every single thing you breathe in, everything you touch and eat is actually a problem unless you really went after it not being a problem. And so it sounds like you are using a lot of different alternative therapies. They're called alternative right now. I'm sure 10 years from now, they'll be standard of care because we know that they're necessary. Those of us who are in the know already know. But
Yes.
yes, I know you're going to restore hyper wellness locally. I had the founder, Jim Donnelly, on this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
He was amazing that he and his partners created Restore Hyper Wellness. They wanted to create blue zones all around us that make it easily accessible for us to use things like a hyperbaric chamber. That's still out of scope for most of us to buy. Infrared saunas, it's gotten easier. I ordered one called Therasage that's linked on my website because I met the founder. He was on this podcast as well, and he's phenomenal. And he does all that research in science and how to build beautiful things and PEMF mats and these things. So we don't have to do all that research to build these things.
I've had
So
so many people ask me
yeah,
when you were on the workshop, when we did the prevention workshop together,
yeah.
they message me still and go, what was the name of Shivani's, the
Matt,
mat in her
yeah.
chair? And yeah.
Yeah, I was at a conference, I met the founder. And for me, if I'm going to buy something, I really want to know that the founder is as obsessed as I am.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed. I'm a little crazy. If you meet me in person, you'll be like, wow, this girl's hyper about health. And I really do think like there's people out there who create things with such love and intention.
Yes.
He's one of those people. I met him. I was like, wow, I just want to hang out with you all day. And he explained about the mat he created. So I bought one right there. I was like, I'm ready now. Can I take it with me? And it's in my office chair at work. And I just sit in it all day. So imagine if 8 hours a day, you're giving yourself infrared, you're giving yourself PEMF, you're grounding. What a beautiful gift. Like if we're going to sit all day, at least benefit yourself while you're sitting.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm very happy because in December, I did my first set of imaging. I did thermography,
Okay.
which was eye-opening.
Yeah.
I really wish I knew about thermography years ago.
Sure.
And to learn that through thermography, we can uncover inflammation in its infant stage.
Absolutely.
Thermography picks up breast inflammation at 256 cells, where mammogram is over 4 trillion.
Wow. I didn't know that was the difference.
Oh yeah. I was shocked. And I was like, oh, well, I could have, if I was doing thermography 5 or 6 years ago, I could have gotten ahead of this, but now I know about it.
Yeah.
Now I utilize it as a tool.
Yeah.
And between the thermography and ultrasound, because I will not do another mammogram and will not expose myself to the radiation of that again. My imaging is clear.
Nice.
My cancer markers, blood work for cancer markers are all below where they need to be.
Sure.
And, that was the thing about the 12 rounds of chemo. I challenged them and I said, well, what do I need the chemo for? It's stage 1,
Yeah.
didn't go in the lymph. And they said, well, in case it got out,
Right.
in case it's, circulating in your, you have circulating tumor cells. I said, okay, well, let's test for that.
Yeah.
Well, that's not our standard of care. And I'm like, well,
Shouldn't it be?
and you lost me on the 12 rounds of chemo because I'm not going to
Yeah.
put something in my body that you can't tell me that I,
Need.
that I need.
Yeah. No, it's true. When my kids were little, I'd go to the pediatrician, and this pediatrician would say, let's give prophylactic antibiotics. And I would say, do you know who I am? I teach gut health and Ayurveda. No. She's like, yeah, but prophylactic, it's going to get worse. Can I just give you the prescription? And I'd look at her and I'd say, please swab them now. Prove to me it's bacterial for an antibiotic. Oh, it's negative. She's like, yeah, but take the prescription. I'm like, no, I will come back and you will swab them again and you will prove to me it's necessary before I explode and kill their whole gut. And so I really appreciate that you were like, please don't explode and kill my whole body. And then I have to somehow rebuild the ashes and the pieces back into a real body. It's interesting, Barb, only because it's you am I doing this episode. I have been invited to speak on so many cancer podcasts and conferences over the years, and I won't touch the topic because it's one of those topics that'll get you like erased off the internet. No one wants us to talk about this one topic. And I actually do have a lot of opinions on it that I don't share. Like, I have done thermography. No, you may not mammogram me annually. I went to this primary care office in Delray because I was like, I need someone to prescribe me my progesterone. And they were like, oh, but we require annual mammograms. You're 40. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? She's like, no, that's standard of care. And I was like, that's insane. You may not do that.
What does a mammogram have to do with the progesterone?
I said progesterone will prevent breast cancer, by the way. I'm not asking you for estrogen. If I was asking you for estrogen, I totally understand the need for the baseline. But I said also, I had breast reduction surgery. You have a baseline mammogram. That was required to get the surgery. So I've had one in my life. It's pretty recent. Use it. They were like, no. To be part of our practice, you will do that. And I thought, well, isn't it great? I'll be part of functional medicine practices for the rest of my life because you can't mandate that to me. That's insane. Like people have to educate themselves. I said, I would accept every 5 years. I would accept every 3 to 5 years based on family history, but annual is excessive.
Excessive. And, when you give the pushback.
Yeah. Oh, I was about to be kicked out of the practice. She kind of looked at me and I was like, I'm part of a medical family. Let me not ruin my whole reputation by exploding at this person. So I reeled it back and I was like, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
It was just rough. So what was the next steps you took after that? After you embarked on this like 2-year commitment of, I'm going to heal myself at a cellular level. I now understand myself in depth. I understand the commitments I'm going to make to my health. Where are you at now?
I am still, right in the process. It's going to be daily. It is daily, every day. And that's okay because, I am so committed. I'm committed to it on so many levels.
Yeah.
And here's why. Number one, I'm a very convicted person. Like I want to prove to myself that I can do this. And I want to show that if you do the work and you get the right information and you get the right tools and you allow the body what it was designed to do and let it do that with some nurturing, that it can heal itself. Like I believe that with every ounce of my being.
Yeah.
And you can't change my mind on that.
Right.
And so that, that gets me up every day. And look, I'm tired. I'm 8 months in, soon to be 9 months in, and I'm tired. It
Yeah.
has become my third job, and it moved to the top of the list, the priority list. I mean, it had to. And every day every 3 days I'm juicing.
Nice.
Every day I am doing something, whether it is superhuman, whether it's the, IV drips, whatever I have to do, I am willing to do it. Thank goodness, the support that I had last summer from Just Lift, from Orange Theory, because I was with Orange Theory for 12 years, from the clients, the community that did a fundraiser for me, because the saddest part of all of this is none of this is covered by insurance.
Sure.
But
It's considered preventive. It's not considered treatment, even though it's the best treatment. Metabolic treatment of all of what you're talking about is actually, as you're speaking, I'm like, this is what we all need to be doing. This needs to be our prevention plan for all
yes,
of us. We don't think we have to. So we're like, I don't need to go
don't
to any
wait.
of this.
Don't wait for a diagnosis. I had this conversation, I promise you, this morning at Just Lift. Is, one of the clients said to me, everything you're doing, Barb, and she's in the health and fitness arena as well. She goes, everything you're doing, I watch you and I follow your story and I see your posts. And she's like, and I know I should be doing it as a preventative.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you can avoid what I've had to go through. I mean, mentally and emotionally, it was the hardest thing I've ever been through in my life. And if if my story and my strength and my share of my story could help motivate anybody to look at their approach to their health a little differently, and I urge everyone to, get in front of it. Get in front of it and do the work, do the testing, find out what's going on inside of you. And once you know, and I've had people say, "Oh, I don't want to know." Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
You want to know, because then you've got the knowledge, you've got the information, and then you can do something about it, because you don't want to wait until it's too late. You don't want to wait too long and then, have this catastrophic situation that you're just looking down the barrel of,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. And it's so admirable because not only are you saying prevent, you're saying, look, I faced this head on. I dealt with it based on my entire knowledge base. I went and got a lot more knowledge. I built an entire, what I call dream team around me, because I have a dream team for my own health. I built my dream team. I'm
Yes.
winning at this. I will prove to you at the end through all of the data and metrics.
Gave me goosebumps.
Yeah. You have your dream team and you're doing the work and you're winning.
I'm winning.
And
Like,
at the end of 2 years, which you're already going to be able to say it at the end of 1 year, I'm sure, I won. This is what I did. This was my team. This is my protocol. Take it, use it. How can I guide you on the food part? Because nutrition and fitness, as we know, is totally accessible and doable by all of us, but that doesn't make it easy.
right.
Shifting our food, and we've had that conversation, shifting food and diet, easy to say, not as easy to implement. And so as a health coach, as someone who's out there guiding on these topics, you can say, look, I know how to starve cancer.
Yeah.
I know how to do the tools and the alternative tools and biohacking tools that exist and the functional medicine tools to really win at this. And I think that's incredible because you're a woman who's right here in South Florida who we all know, and you did it. So it's rare that you meet someone who so openly shares these journeys. Not everyone shares. I share a lot about my health because I figure if I went through it and I got a surgery, which is a big deal to me, and I share it, then someone else might take the leap and do the things they need to do. Same with my biohacking tools, same with all the supplements and functional medicine ideas I try. And so when it came to what you're doing now, is there anything else that you are like, you know what? I think that's going to be my next phase or my next step, or are there any things that have surprised you that you've learned along the way in all this testing and all these trials of what you're doing?
To find out that, as healthy as I have lived, as, with always being in fitness and always being very aware, and again, in the last 3 to 5 years, getting very ingredient based, and, you know, I don't put anything on my skin that is a, endocrine disruptor. I mean, I have cleaned out so many things, and I'm grateful that I did that. And, it's prepared me for what was coming.
Yeah.
But to find out that, you can eat all the healthy stuff that you can get your hands on, and you can exercise every day. But until you really dig into your own biology
Yeah.
and find out, what is going on inside of you, um, you really don't know. You
Yeah.
don't know what's brewing. And you've got to be brave enough to to go there and find out. And, you know, and that's what I have done. That is what I am doing. And I explained this in the last interview I did. It's like I have become an archaeologist, and I am digging, and I am just going to keep digging. I'm going to keep testing. I'm going to continue to uncover what is it I can do to strengthen my system, to fix what, I don't want to say what is broke, but help. I mean, I inherited, a lot of this from my parents. The combination, and, it is what it is. But knowing now I can support my body so it can run better. And let me tell you, if I thought I felt good before,
Mm.
holy crap, like, I'm on a whole nother level of feeling great.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's like, man,
Completely de-inflamed, completely detoxed, fasted, so the mitochondria is probably like, "Let's go."
let's
Let's
do it. And I sleep better. I've got so much more. I mean, and it's funny when people find out that I, you know, was diagnosed with cancer. They're like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I am not."
Mhm.
This, as tragic as it was, and I don't, it's something that happened for me, not to me. And it has changed the trajectory of my life, how I look at life, how I coach. It has changed the trajectory of my own business. Like, I right now have three clients that are all battling cancer, and I am helping them. And I am helping them with their food. I'm helping them with their gut health. I am helping them with their mindset. And I told them right out of the gate, whatever you choose,
Yeah.
if you choose treatment, conventional treatment or not, I will support you. My what I want to do is I want to help you get to the root cause.
Yeah.
That is now my main focus with those clients, is let me share with you the tools that I have uncovered and the testing that I've done. Let me give that to you, and whatever treatment you want to do, great. But let's find out what got you here, and then let's together fix it. I will
Nice.
help you fix it. And I love it. I mean, I love that I can give somebody a sense of hope and not terror, and
Absolutely.
a strength when they feel weak, and, you know all the emotions and feelings that go along with this diagnosis. And I mean, I you may have heard me say this before, but I believe I was chosen. I was chosen to go through this way so that I could do the work, turn around, and help others. And knowing that, when I was searching for why in the beginning, why did this happen?
Mm.
When I honed in on that, then I could roll my shoulders back and I could breathe and I could go, okay,
Okay.
do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So
That's amazing. I'm so grateful that that's the shift that you had. Oftentimes, we've had our own health struggles, and that's why we turn around and become the practitioners we are. And you obviously went through something so big. And so I see your stories sometimes, and you're like, even my measuring cups are switching from plastic to metal. And then I look at mine and I'm like, yeah, mine are still plastic. That's a frontier I haven't finished yet.
yeah,
Thank you. It's the little things
black,
and it's the big things. And you shared something, you said, I'm digging and digging. And I thought, wow, you're the archaeologist and the architect of
yeah,
your own health.
totally.
And that's the magic of what you've done. You became this incredible archaeologist, dug real deep and said, you know what? It's a multifactorial root cause, which usually it is. I got inflamed. My body didn't detox properly. Okay, it generated a problem. I was
Yeah,
presented with a really scary problem. I got it cut out of me, got rid of it, which surgery is common, but like it's much scarier when you're talking about what you're talking about. Cut it out. And now I'm on a path to healing, rejuvenation, cellular health, metabolic health, hormone health, everything health. And truly, you probably just added 20 years to your life with
oh,
what you've done.
oh,
And so it's such a powerful reminder because oftentimes if you looked around, your check engine light is probably on. I know with my health, I talk about it all the time. I know what my blood work says, and I know I have to make changes. And so I work with coaches like you, and I'm like, hey, I know I need a change. Changing diet's hard. What would you have me do? Because I think I'm already doing everything really well. And that's where we get to have those conversations of, where are some ingredients that could change? Where are some patterns that could change? But if we don't pay attention to the check engine lights and
yeah,
we just let that keep going, I recently had a scan and I'm going to share it here because I think it's tied to what you're talking about. I did a scan called the Prenuvo full body MRI. Talk
yes,
about a luxury item to do. But when you've done all of functional medicine, they presented it at this conference as like that last thing you do to really check under the hood and make sure, is there any cancer anywhere? Is there any problem anywhere? And I was like, you know what? I really want that thing. And so when I had the scan done, the doctor sat me down and he said, wow, you actually have no problems. You have one disc degeneration, one disc sticking out here. I said, I already know. I had neck pain forever. That's why I got a reduction. Needed that weight off my neck. I'm better now. Secondly, he said, you have no arthritis or inflammation in any of your joints, in any of your lower body. I've never seen that. And I said, yay, turmeric, winning. I make a good turmeric. So thank you for that validation. He said, but I do see something here. You have these 2 white spots on your brain. Normally, we disregard it as nothing, but because of your background and the blood work and everything you shared, I'm going to tell you, if you had done this scan 20 years from now, that would have been tons of white spots and that would have potentially been dementia. And I just looked at him like, oh my God, do you know my whole family history is diabetes, high cholesterol, heart disease, Parkinson's. Like that's the
wow,
roadmap if I didn't cut the roadmap right off at the start.
yeah,
But it was the right horrible wake up call for me where I looked at him and I was like, now I'll make changes. Now I'm committed. I understand my cholesterol's high. I know I have to address it. I just thought, oh, perimenopause, it happens, whatever, I'll deal with it. But it was the right kind of warning for me. I'm really obsessed with my brain health for longevity. So now I'm going to take it seriously. So, my question to our audience listening today is, what are your check engine lights that are on? Where in your blood work are you in the red? Where do you know there's something going on with your energy, your hormones? Something is going the wrong way, and you just are choosing not to go and dig deeper. And take this as Barb's guidance of the day. Go dig in and figure it out.
and the I'm just getting old. No, and you've heard me say this at Just Lift. everything I'm doing today is to set me up for success for my 80s and 90s. And boy, oh boy, when I got diagnosed with breast cancer, that statement became even truer. I
Yeah,
said to myself, you know what? I'm still going to rock the 90s. I'm still going to. And
absolutely.
I know that this approach and this path of really getting to the root cause, being brave enough to look under the hood, dig in, and find out what's going on, get the proper tools, and then show up for yourself every day and do the work. And because I'm gonna make it to 90 and I'm
Absolutely.
gonna rock the 90s.
Absolutely. And if
and
anyone's listening, go ahead.
and like for me, like that's my goal. I don't have children. I don't, well, if I don't have children, I don't have grandchildren, but I
Right.
use that all the time. Like, look, if you can't do it for yourself,
Yeah.
there is someone somewhere depending on you.
True.
For you have children. You want to see your children's children, so the whole I'm just getting old. That's so 20 20 to the 2000s,
Yeah.
whatever. That's so old. We
It's
can't.
so old.
Whenever
Yeah.
says to me, "Oh my God, I'm so old," I'm like, stop it. I don't want to hear that. But it's
You know
such,
what my son said to me the other day? He goes, that person was born in the 1900s. And I looked at him like, are you kidding me right now? I was born in the 1900s. Don't make me sound like I'm 100 already. I've got a lot of road ahead of me and life ahead of me. Well,
gotta
Barb, I
control.
have
We gotta
yeah,
control.
we do. We have power and sovereignty. We can be the architects and archaeologists of our own health. I love that you said archaeology and digging. Barb, I'm going to have you back on the podcast because there's so much we could talk about. I know that when you're guiding clients right now, you're using a lot of things that people don't understand the importance of, even in the world of juicing and sprouts and wheatgrass and all the things that I know that we both know about. So, will you share where people who are listening today can find you and learn more about you and support you?
Absolutely. I just launched my cancer story website, which I'm very proud of. It's beatingcancermyway.com. So you
Amazing.
can learn more about my story, my mission, my challenge. Um, my treatments are all, a majority of them are listed in there. I also started a GoFundMe.
Nice.
As I stated earlier, this is not covered by insurance. So I, again, was so grateful last summer, but that money has run out. So if anybody can support my journey and support my GoFundMe, you can also find my website, bamfitforlife.com, and it's bamfit for life. And then on social media, my name, Barb Moylan, or Bam Fit for Life on both Facebook and mainly Instagram. So
Perfect. BAMFIT, the number 4 life for
.com.
Instagram and your website.
Yes.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Barb, for joining me on the podcast. You're amazing. I love you so much. You are part of my dream team, even though I'm probably the least compliant client ever because I have all my own beliefs. But that's okay. It takes someone like you to work with someone like me who's like, I'm right. You're like, and let me enhance your projects, Shivani. Any practitioner knows we need our own team to support
Yes.
us as well.
Every
So
coach needs a coach.
correct. So thank you for being part of my life. Thank you for coming on the podcast today. Everyone who's listening, thank you for joining for the Fusionary Health podcast, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me for this episode. Check out our sponsor, Fusionary Formulas, the potent turmeric supplement used by doctors around the U.S. for patients with pain and inflammation. www.fusionaryformulas.com. I'm your host, Dr. Shivani Gupta. For more, visit shivanigupta.com. Subscribe to this podcast in Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Click the follow button or subscribe in any of the apps that you use. That's all I've got for you on the Fusionary Health podcast this week. You have the power to transform your health and achieve vibrant health starting today.